What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Bailey Canning. I'm an independent marketing strategist based in Colorado, working primarily with service-based businesses to help them increase their online traffic, generate more leads, and ultimately sign their ideal clients. On today's video, I'm going to be covering the 3 pillars necessary for sustained marketing success. Whether you're an in-house marketing director or the owner of your own business, I think this video is going to be very insightful for you because if your company has experienced ups and downs in its marketing performance, then I think the 3 pillars are going to explain why exactly that is. And by the time we're done with this video, I think you're going to have a very clear understanding of what you need to focus on so that you can reach your ideal audience online and nurture them and ultimately generate leads, and then from those leads, close those leads into sales. So if that sounds helpful to you, then definitely stick around for the full video. If you're interested in branding, web design, digital marketing, all that type of stuff that goes into building a brand online and then growing your business with digital marketing, then you're definitely going to want to subscribe to my channel because I'm putting out 1 to 2 videos per week covering the latest marketing strategies, tactics, etc. that'll show you how to grow your business online. And if you really like the content that I'm putting out, then definitely follow me on LinkedIn as well. Link to my profile in the description because I'm posting pretty much 1 video per day on that platform. All right, so to set the stage for today's conversation, there are 2 key fundamental things I want to talk about before we get into the pillars of marketing that you need to be focusing on. Number 1 is going to be the 7, 11, and 4 rule, which is being talked about a lot in the marketing industry right now. It is based off a study that Google recently put out, and in it, they said that basically for consumers to eventually purchase from your company, and the more expensive your services are, and the more that's involved in it, the more this is true. Basically, a prospective client needs to spend 7 hours engaging with your brand. So this could be watching YouTube videos, reading blog posts, browsing your website, checking out your social media posts, etc. They then need to do that over 11 different touch points. So 11 different interactions they have with your brands, both online and offline. And then finally, they need to do it in 4 different locations. Again, this is on average, but you get the point directionally where I'm going with this. So that means that they need to see you perhaps on your website, on YouTube, on social media, maybe even like a direct mail postcard or something, perhaps even in person if you met someone at a networking event. And the reason why I bring this up is because too many times, business owners and marketing directors get upset and frustrated when they don't see immediate results from their marketing efforts. But you need to put yourself in the prospective client's shoes and think to yourself, let's say you're an architect and the average project you take on is like $30,000. How is it likely that someone who has never interacted with your brand before is just finding out for you the first time after they clicked on a Google ad? How are they going to go from never having heard about your company to spending 3 minutes on your website and then getting in touch about a $30,000 project, for example? I'm not saying it can happen. It certainly can, but it's really only going to be happening if those particular prospects are right at the bottom of the funnel. They've done all the research they need to do about their potential project, and they're ready to start talking to architects about it right now. And that brings me to the second point I wanted to make here is that only 3% roughly of the total addressable market, so basically everyone your company could potentially do business with, is ever going to be in the market right now for your products and services. So that means that the other 97% or so are in the market eventually, and eventually they will be looking to buy from a company like yours, but they're just not ready yet. And so based on that, and then based on the 7, 11, and 4 rule I just mentioned as well, this just means that you need to be focusing on taking a long-term approach to your company's online marketing strategy and focusing on the foundational elements I'll be breaking down in these 3 pillars of marketing that you need to focus on. And really, to have success with online marketing, you have to understand that it's a long-term game, that you got to be pursuing the same strategy for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and it's only in those later months are you going to actually have the leads rolling in. These days, consumers are just super informed. They can do all the research in the world that they want to do online, and they can do a bunch of comparison shopping as well. So naturally, the sales cycle is going to be longer in almost every single case, unless that person is directly in the market and looking to hire a company like yours right this second. So that just means that you really need to be taking a long-term approach to your marketing, and you really need to be prepared to do this for the long haul, and you really need to be focusing on that 97% rather than the 3%. Because if you're focused on doing things that are too spammy or you're just not providing value, then you're ultimately going to shoot yourself in the foot and hamper your company's overall marketing efforts for the long run. All right, so I've been teasing now for long enough. Let's just talk about the 3 pillars. The 3 pillars are going to be branding, outbound, and inbound. So let's start with branding. When most people think about branding, they think about what the company's visual design language is, what the colors they use, their logo, what fonts they use, what the tone and style they go for is, etc. So that is definitely one part of this branding component that I'm talking about. If you're a professional service provider, you definitely want to have a high-end brand, because that is ultimately what is going to help your company charge higher prices, stand out from the competition online, and be seen by an expert as your prospective clients. But more than that, what I'm talking about here is producing content online, which we can think of as branding in this context. I'd recommend long form content, such as YouTube videos like I'm making, or even a podcast as well, which I have a lot of experience in as a podcast host back in the day. And I'd also recommend short form content for getting found online. And then once people have found you online and they're ready to do more research and actually engage with your brand, then you're going to have a bunch of long form content to check out on your website, on your YouTube channel, on your podcast feeds, etc., so they can go deeper. Because ultimately, short form content is what gets eyeballs and gets you found online, but the long form content is necessary for nurturing prospects into actual leads and building demand for your company services. Now, that probably sounds like a lot of work, but what I recommend doing is focusing on a long form content channel like YouTube videos, and then using tools like Opus Clip like I'm using. You can then take those YouTube videos and repurpose them into short form clips, which is basically what I'm doing to post on LinkedIn every single day, and it's taking me maybe 10 minutes a week to do that from one of these long form YouTube videos. Some other things that go into this branding category are going to be testimonials from your past clients for social proof, because quite honestly, prospects expect you to say that your company is the best and that you provide the highest end service possible, but it's ultimately people's past experiences with your brand that are going to define your brand. So that is why testimonials are super important. I recommend getting video testimonials if you can, because that goes even further in social proof than just a regular written testimonial. But at the very least, keep your testimonials updated so you can build a long list of testimonials for prospective clients to check out. Next thing I really recommend you get on your website is going to be detailed case studies of past client projects. This way you can really demonstrate your expertise and you can sell in a way that is very helpful and education oriented. Quite honestly, this is going to be some of your best sales content, and it's ultimately what's going to establish your company or yourself as an expert in your field. Now, there's a lot to be said for making videos like this where you're talking about stuff and giving advice, but ultimately show, don't tell is what I really recommend. So case studies are great. Case study videos are great as well. I don't care if you're a law firm, an architecture firm, an engineering firm, etc. Whenever you finish a client project, put in place a standard operating procedure. So at the end of that project, you sit down for an hour or two, you write up everything that went into it, you map out a case study, and then you record or create the content in order to have that case study content on your website. And again, this is going to be some of the most effective content you could possibly have on your website for generating leads. To close out this pillar right here, when it comes to branding, you want to ensure that your company has a well-designed brand with a concrete brand strategy behind it in terms of who you're trying to reach and what differentiates your company within the market. And then secondly, you're going to want to be producing consistent content online to provide value, educate, entertain, etc. to your target audience. And then you're also going to want social proof such as case studies and testimonials that will sell your brand ultimately to your prospective clients. Now, the next pillar you're going to want to focus on is going to be inbound. Now, inbound is all going to be about your ideal clients finding your company online organically, or in some other cases via paid traffic channels. So this could be SEO, meaning when someone is in the local area who is interested in your company's services, they Google you, and then your company shows up because of the SEO work you've been doing to rank higher up on Google's SERP pages. This could also be paid traffic as well, so Google ads, Meta ads, etc. What paid traffic allows you to do is get directly in front of your ideal audience as they're browsing their social feeds or they're doing searches in the local area. From those inbound traffic channels, you're going to want to take those website visitors and turn them into leads that you can nurture and ultimately aim to book a sales call with. Now, in order to do this, what I recommend doing is building an email list. And so this way, with the email list, you can then have a list of prospects who have raised their hand and have indicated that they are interested in your company's services, but they are not ready to move forward just yet. Now, there's a couple different ways to go about building an email list. The most effective way, in my experience, is going to be to develop a lead magnet. So essentially what this is a downloadable, highly valuable piece of content that prospective clients can only access by leaving their name, email address, and maybe their phone number. So as an example here, one of my clients is an architecture firm in San Diego, and we put together a lead magnet that someone needs to leave their email address to download called the Dream Home Guide, which essentially walks them through the entire process of building a new home in San Diego, where the client is basically taking on most of their projects. Now, this is a perfect lead magnet because it targets people who are in research mode, meaning they're at the top or middle of the funnel. So they're not ready just yet to set up consultations with architects and move forward with hiring one, but they are looking to learn more about what is going to go into their project, how much it's going to cost, how long it's going to take, etc. And so with this lead magnet, we've been able to build an email list of over 1,000 people, and we've been consistently creating content as well, both the long form and short form content I've been talking about earlier in this video. And now we are distributing that content directly to the email inbox to these prospective clients, and then using email to nurture those leads and to ultimately book in a consultation with my client. If you didn't want to go the lead magnet route, I know a lot of people have had a lot of success with webinars. So whether you're doing these on LinkedIn or maybe even on YouTube, or maybe it's a private webinar, basically webinars could be very long, like 45 minutes to 60-minute informational videos breaking down everything people need to know about your company's services. Think as if you're doing the research for them, and then you're breaking down everything they need to know before moving forward in 60 minutes or less. And in order to access this webinar, people then need to leave their email address as well. So either a lead magnet or a webinar is going to be one of the best ways to build an email list from people you are targeting with paid traffic and all the other people who are finding your company online through different inbound channels. Now, the third and last channel we're going to be talking about is going to be outbound. Now, this is exactly what it sounds like. It's going out and contacting potential prospects directly. This is very important for sustained marketing success because there might be some months where your content just doesn't get a lot of views, or there might be some months where you just don't get a lot of conversions on your paid ads through different inbound channels. But if you're consistently doing cold outreach to prospective clients, and I'm not advocating to do this in a spammy way, I'm advocating to do it in a way where whether you're cold calling or you're cold emailing or you're going to networking events, you're actually looking to build a relationship and you're taking a long-term approach to ultimately eventually closing that sale. So this means providing value, educating, being helpful, not being salesy, because everyone can tell if you're being salesy from a mile away. People are trained to ignore salespeople, but really, you need to be focused on one cold outreach channel. For me, it's primarily networking, but I have done cold calling in the past, and I'm going to be doing more of it going forward. But what I love about the cold outreach is that it forces the sales conversation right away with your ideal audience. It's very measurable and scalable. So for example, just throwing some numbers out here, if you make 100 phone calls, and you can book 5 sales calls with those of your ideal target audience, then you could potentially hire someone to make 1,000 calls for you and then book 50 leads from those calls. So it's very measurable, it's very scalable. You're able to see what's working and what's not. Cold outreach does work best if you've already been doing the inbound and branding aspects of marketing that I've been talking about today, because when you do have a solid sales conversation with someone who is actually in market, then they're going to have a ton of different content to consume, and they're going to know that you're the go-to resource. And even if you do talk to a prospect via one of these cold channels that is not in the market yet, but they're interested in staying up to date with your company via its email list, then you've got a bunch of content to nurture them. And when they're finally ready to set up a consultation with a company like yours 3 to 6 months from now, and during this entire time, you've been consistently marketing to them, providing them value, educating them on the process, establishing your expertise, who do you think they're going to ultimately hire when the time comes for them to make that hiring decision? You or just some other companies that they have found randomly online? I think it's pretty clear who they're going to end up hiring in most cases. So long story short, you need to be focusing on branding because that's what's going to allow your company to establish its expertise. It's what's going to allow you to differentiate from the competition. And it's ultimately what's going to allow you to develop relationships with your prospective clients. And remember, business, it's very human to human, so you really need to have a personal relationship in place, and you will find that if you're doing branding, everything gets easier from a sales perspective. So when you hop on these calls with clients, they're pre-sold, they want to work with you, they're trying to sell themselves to you. It's a completely different ballgame versus if you were only doing cold outreach, which again is going to be essential, but if you're only doing that and you weren't doing the other channels and vice versa, you might have some success, but ultimately you're not going to be as successful as you could. Focusing on inbound is going to be very important for getting people onto your website and then ultimately taking those visitors and converting them into leads so that you can then market to them via your email list. And then finally, outbound is going to be essential for having direct sales conversations with your ideal prospects and then ultimately getting them into your marketing systems from there. Hopefully this video was helpful for you, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're an in-house marketing director. By focusing on branding, inbound and outbound, and having a concrete strategy like I outlined in several different ways in this video on each channel. This is what's going to allow your company to have sustained marketing success and be able to generate a steady stream of leads month after month. All right, guys, so that is it for me in today's video. If you enjoyed this video and you got a lot of value out of it, then definitely subscribe to my channel. Helps me a lot. If you want to stay up to date more with my content as well, definitely check me out on LinkedIn, because again, I'm posting one video per day on that platform, even weekends sometimes. I look forward to seeing you around in future videos. Have a good one. Take it easy. Bye.